There's a lot of great podcasts out there right now. Some of the top podcasts in America are the Joe Rogan Experience, um, The Daily, Crime Junkie. NPR has a great podcast. One of my favorites is by a guy named Steve Bartlett. It's called Diary of a CEO. And then if you're from Kansas City, where I am from, everybody knows about the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelsey, and it's a popular one here in Kansas City. But of all the podcasts that are available out there on Spotify and on Amazon and on YouTube, you, as a viewer or a listener, are here today on a retirement planning podcast called Retirement Today. Why is that? It's probably because retirement is anxiety producing, intimidating, kind of stressful, to be frank with you, and you're looking for information. We're going to provide some for you today, and I'm certainly glad that you're here. My name is David Cox. I am with Beacon Wealth Advisory. I'm one of the advisors on our team. I've been in the industry 19 years and just love what we do and love with working with people that are on the cusp of retirement or in retirement. We're helping them get to and through retirement. Let me introduce my incredible co-host, Miss Jaclyn Gladhill, who is here today with me.
Well, hi, David. It
Hi,
is
dear.
so great to record with you, be with you,
Thank you.
talk with you. It's been a long time since you've been on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm a filler in. Jenna Carnes is our regular. I think this is the fourth time I've done a podcast. So I'm just pleased that they let me keep doing it again and again. So at least I got four under my belt. My claim to fame.
I mean, we have had a lot of fun on these
Yes, we
podcasts
have.
together. And
Yes, we have.
so today, I just want to share with our listeners. Um, so David, you sent me an idea. And
Yeah.
I recall, I think my response was me jumping up and down saying love, 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 love.
Yes, that's what
Um,
you did.
and so I cannot wait to do this with our viewers and listeners today. But I'll let you take it away because it's your idea and it's such a great one. So explain to our listeners
Well,
what we're doing today.
well, typically we tackle one topic at a time and just kind of digest it and dissect it and get into the nitty gritty of it. Um, but today we're going to do a little different. There's a show out on TV. Many of our viewers or listeners have seen it or heard it, and it's called Whose Line Is It Anyway? And funny show. It's an improv show, and they just do these different scenes, and the actors kind of act out without any kind of preparation. And they have a scene, have a bit in it called Scenes from a Hat. And the studio audience, before the show, writes out a scene they want the actors to act out. And they throw all those ideas into a hat, and then the moderator kind of pulls out a piece of paper and reads the scene, and the actors have to act it out. Well, we can't do scenes from a hat. You don't want me acting out anything. No improv today. No
Me either.
charades today. No, no, no. Not on our to-do list. But we thought we'd do something fun and just have questions from a hat. And
Yes.
so Jaclyn has the questions, and she's going to rip them out of the hat and read them to me, and we're just going to jump in and kind of walk through what some ideas behind that question or answers to that question from our viewers, from our listeners, people
Mm-hmm.
just like people watching and listening today. So take it away. Let's do a
Yes.
questions from a hat.
Yes. So I have just a black baseball cap here. And I'm shaking it. I don't know if our listeners can hear it,
Yeah, it
but there
works.
are several different questions in here.
Right.
And so you are going to be put on the spot today, Dave.
Here we go. Bring
You
it on.
ready? All right. First question. Wait.
That's our drum roll.
Okay. First
Nice.
question. If I am about 5 years away from retirement, what are the most important things that I should be doing right now?
That's good. I like that question a lot. And one of the things that I try to tell people that the time to prepare for retirement is not 6 months out. It really is about 5 years out. It's the fact that that questioner is asking that question is really next level. So 5 years out, Mount Everest, if you've ever you've never climbed out. I've never climbed it, but I've been told, I've read that the places where people die are not at the top. There's a death zone, and it's about 2,000 feet from the top. That's where most people die. When it comes to retirement, there's a danger zone. I don't want to call it death zone. There's a danger zone, and it's about 5 years out and 5 years past. That 10-year window, if you make a critical mistake in that window, it can be a game changer for your retirement. And so this 5-year window, you want to make some good decisions. You want to start beginning to do some income planning. You want to identify how much income you're going to need and how much income you have guaranteed, and then what's the gap and how are you going to fill it. So you start thinking ahead about how much income you're going to need in retirement. And that's a critical first step. I have people come to see me even today, and I say, okay, what's our income goal in retirement? And they don't know. And I said, well, I can't help you develop an income plan if you don't have an idea of what the target is. So that's a first place. The second place is you need to really analyze how much risk you're taking at 5 years out. And maybe it's time to start locking in some of the gains you've had. Maybe it's time to secure some of those wins that you've got and begin to take some risk off the table. When you're 50, when you're 45, your risk should be, all in, go for it. Robust growth. It's give me those stocks that are rip roaring high. But when you're 5 years out from retirement, some of your portfolio can be allocated that way, but everything should not be, because you're exposed to again a kind of a danger zone area where a life-changing decision could be made for you by risk taking some of those assets that you've worked your lifetime to secure, taking them off the table before you even get a chance to spend them. So that's a second thing. And then, among a host of other things, I would encourage people to get their estate planning docs in order. You really have to start thinking about power of
Beneficiaries.
attorney. You got to think about beneficiaries. You got to identify those. Who do I want assets to go to? Who's going to be responsible if something were to happen to me? Because life happens and surprises happen and health breakdowns happen. And you need to have those ducks in a row, so to speak. And who's going to be the trusted contact? Who's got the power of attorney? What's going to happen to my assets after I pass? And start getting those things, whether you need a trust or not. Some people do, some people don't. But those estate docs are very important. So those kind of 3 steps that income planning, start assessing risk, and get those estate docs in order. That's where I'd kind of begin at the 5-year mark.
I like that. Perfect 3 steps. All right. Next question here.
Yeah. I like the question. I like the drum roll.
All right. So we got, my spouse and I have saved for retirement for years, but I still worry. How do I know if we actually have enough money to retire comfortably and make it last? So that goes back, I think, to what you were just talking about, David, about, the income.
Yeah. I think the number one fear of retirees by far, not even close, is running out of money. And for some people, that's a very real fear that keeps them up at night and creates ulcers, so to speak. It can be a real problem for them. So how do you know whether you have enough money? You really have to, again, identify the target that you need for income in retirement, and begin to identify sources of income for retirement, and then begin to have a plan that breaks down how you're going to generate that income from different sources, whether it's Social Security, whether it's a pension, whether it's rental income, whether it's part-time work, whether it's full-time work, what other, maybe it's a little side gig, a little side hustle or something like that you like to do. But money in retirement, you can sleep at night. You don't have to worry about that. So many people do, but you don't have to. And it just takes some planning. And advisors can help with that. We have the tools. We ask the right questions. One of the things, the value of an advisor, to be honest with you, is they know what questions to ask.
Yes.
They know risks that you're not even aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Are you prepared for a sequence of return risk, a volatility risk, an interest rate risk, all those types of risks that could jeopardize your income in retirement and making it last, going the long haul. Um, those are the questions that an advisor can bring to the table and really assist with. So I'm absolutely persuaded with a plan. Most people can retire and retire comfortably and retire
Mm-hmm.
well and get through retirement without running out of money before they run out of life, um, which is, of course, the goal. I think it can be done, but you gotta be intentional about it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta map out a plan. Where do you want to go? How are you going to get there? That's kind of the what you do is at this stage when you're thinking
Yeah.
about retirement.
Yeah, and what we always say is we plan for the worst, we hope for the best.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to having a plan, you can readjust it, you work with your, financial advisor to change, because life does happen. But I do want to just point out to that listener that did submit that question, great job on saving because that's the first step. Thinking about it
Absolutely.
and starting somewhere and then working, and growing from there.
One of the other things I want to add about income in retirement is because when you retire, often we see retirees actually spend a little bit more right after they retire because
Mhm.
they're
They have more
traveling,
time.
they're active, they're going, they have time available. We call
Mhm.
those the go-go years, okay,
Uh-huh.
where there's activity and motion and expenses. And then as you age a little bit, some of that activity slows down, some of the travel slows down, some of the action slows down, and some of the expenses can slow down. We call those
Mhm.
the slow go years,
Mhm.
go, slow go. And then eventually you get to the point where people are coming to you, you're not traveling to them. Some of those expenses that would be play expenses, extra expenses to the regular monthly needs um, are gone. And we call those the no go years. So the go
Mhm.
go, slow go, and no go years. And again, understanding how income needs are going to be rolled out in retirement is a big first step.
Ooh. Yeah. Great point. Great point. All right, ready for the next one?
Yeah, bring it on.
All right, can you hear this?
I can.
All right, we gotta get the drum roll.
I love it.
All right. I have a pension option through work. Ooh. How
I
do I
like it.
decide between taking the monthly income or the lump sum payout?
That is a great question. Unfortunately, it's not one that many people are asking anymore because the
Uh-huh.
number of pensions are declining every single year. Used to be for my parents, for my grandparents,
Mhm.
their mailbox money was Social Security and a pension, and it just took care of everything.
Mhm.
Today, if you've got a pension, it's less than 20% of people in America have pensions today. You teachers, government workers, most often are the ones. But that is a critical question. What you do with that pension, the decision you make with that pension is one of the most important decisions you'll make in retirement. And it kind of goes around with what's the purpose of that money? And is it most critical for you to generate part of your income plan from those dollars? Is that the driver? Well, then you're probably going to turn on the pension. And if you're married, you're probably going to want to have a joint option associated with it,
Mhm.
which is a critical component that cannot be overlooked and has to be engaged in the planning. But with a pension, there's some trade-offs.
Mhm.
Maximum payout usually, or very high maximum payout. But the trade-off is if you pass, with the exception of a joint payout for your spouse, there's no beneficiary. There's no control over those dollars once you start the pension. So you lose control and you lose the option for leaving assets to the next generation. So one of the reasons a critical step in planning with pensions is to evaluate whether a lump sum is an optimal option. Has to do with, okay, what other sources of income have you got? Do we need that pension to be the primary driver of guaranteed income beyond Social Security? Or can we create income from those dollars and yet have a death benefit associated with it? Is that an option as well? And so you do that kind of planning and you kind of come to the conclusion that, yes, for some people, a lump sum payout is the better option for them because they want control of those dollars, how
Mhm.
they're invested. They can generate income off them, but they also have that death benefit associated with it, which they lose with the pension payout. The pension payout, excellent. High income, loss of control, loss of beneficiaries. And most advisors, not most, that's harsh. A lot of advisors will tell a client, "Oh, you absolutely should take the lump sum." And sometimes the motivation behind that is not so pure. It might
Mhm.
be because they want to manage those assets and get the associated assets under management fee
Mm.
associated with it. So don't always take that advice at face value. Try to look
Mhm.
behind why is that advisor saying that, and go deeper, think harder, and what is the purpose of those dollars? What's the best purpose of
Mhm.
those dollars? Then you can map out a plan whether to pay out or take the lump sum.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, so
it totally depends.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's a great point to, share is one, be aware of the red flags, and make sure that you're aware that if a financial advisor is maybe, saying some advice about it, do some research on that
Yes.
answer. And also, it seems like what you're saying, David, is that it really comes down to your mindset and, your kind of risk or comfort level
Yeah.
when it comes to when you want to go about doing it. But
Right.
definitely consult somebody because I think that's what's important for that, but congratulations on a pension. That's huge.
Oh, it's a big value. It's easy to plan with a pension. It's
Yes.
easier.
All
Definitely.
right. I keep hearing different advice about Social Security.
Yeah.
Should I take it early, wait until full retirement age, or hold off until age 70?
Yeah. My gosh. Every day I pick up, I go on the internet and there's another headline. Some well-known guy right now is
Mhm.
really promoting a 62. Everybody do a 62. Everybody do a 62. And then the next day, you might read another headline. Everybody should do full retirement age. And then the next day, you might read another headline. So everybody should do a 7. So everybody's got a, a cookie cutter approach that's right for everybody. And I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, that
Mhm.
is not true. The approach you take to your Social Security benefits is completely dependent upon your situation, your story, your goals, your other income sources, your life expectancy. All of
Mhm.
those factors go into determining the right strategy. And my gosh, it's just not. We want it easy. We would like it to be, oh, just everybody do this, everybody
Mhm.
do that. It's not that easy. Again, you
Mhm.
have to put some thought into it. You have to activate the brain. You have to do a little research. You have to ask some hard questions. Again, an advisor can assist with that. And we have phenomenal software that allows us to provide side by side comparisons between the different strategies that are available to you, integrating spousal benefits, integrating, a husband and wife, how we kind of work those benefits together. Phenomenal software tool. And again, asking the right questions to identify what's the best approach. Are you going to work in retirement? Well, you don't want to start early. Don't want to start your benefits early because you're going to be paying back some of those benefits
Mhm.
as soon as you receive them. And so it's kind of an administrative nightmare. You want to delay if you're going to be working and earning more than $24,500. It's not the right approach to start and continue to work. I started my benefits at 67, and it was right for me. It was right for my family situation, and I can work and earn whatever I want and don't have to pay any of those benefits back.
Mhm.
So, a strategy for Social Security, the answer is what's right? It depends.
Yeah.
it depends on you, your story, your situation.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you said there is that, there's kind of three different avenues that question was asking, right? I mean, is it before full retirement age? Is it
Yeah.
at retirement age?
Yeah.
Or is it at 70, right? And
Right.
so those are three kind of paths that you can take. And, and then there's also little avenues between them. At what
Yes,
age?
ma'am.
And
Yes, ma'am.
so it's so important to sit with a financial advisor to compare them maybe on paper so you can see the exact numbers of what each avenue would do for you and your situation. And so it's just about comparing and doing some research on what it means for you and your financial situation.
I agree wholeheartedly.
All right. So we are kind of gearing towards the end of our episode. So I think we have
Okay.
one more question
Time for
that
one
we
more.
yeah, time for one more.
All right.
All right. This is I'm worried about running out of money in retirement, which you're
Yeah.
not alone, listener. There's several. That's the biggest
Yeah.
question is running out of money.
Right.
What can retirees do to create dependable income for the rest of their lives?
Now, a lot of these questions are around the same theme. If you've
Mm-hmm.
noticed, it's about income planning. It's about strategizing. Every retiree they need a spending plan. Okay. And another word for a spending plan is a budget. I know we don't like that. It's a 6-letter word that is a 4-letter word to us. We don't like that word.
Budget? Yes, but no.
I don't like that word.
No, it's no fun. And we don't, I tell folks, you don't need a line by line audit, budget in terms of, I don't need to know how much you are spending on homeowners insurance or your Evergy bill, your utility bill. But again, you need a spending plan. You need an income plan. Breaks down, okay, I have $6,000, 7,000, let's say $7,000 worth of income need after taxes. I need $84,000 a year net income. Okay, what's my Social Security going to provide for that? My Social Security is going to provide $40,000. So I still need another $44,000. I have a gap, 44,000. How's that going to be met? Well, I don't have a pension, so that's not going to meet any of it. So I'm now depending upon a couple different potential sources. Well, 3, if you've got rental income, but that's not very common. So primarily 2. So then part-time work, full-time work, or retirement assets. And depending upon starting a withdrawal pattern off of that. But then if you're starting to withdraw off of assets, you better factor in, what about volatility in the market?
Mm-hmm.
What about interest rate risk? What about the sequence of returns? We mentioned that earlier. What about the tax treatment of the assets that I'm withdrawing? Is it an IRA? Is it a brokerage account? Is it a CD? Is it a Roth IRA? What are the tax treatment to it? So you got to factor in taxes. You got to factor in volatility. You got to factor in a lot of things. How do I bridge that gap? And again, once you begin to develop a plan that incorporates all of those factors, then you have some confidence that you're going to go the distance with your assets. And you don't have to be so anxious about, I'm going to run out when I'm 74, 75, 84, 85, and I'm going to live to 92. That's a problem. You can't live on Social Security. Well, by the way, we talked about Social Security. I want you one little nugget here. Every dollar you get from Social Security is a dollar you don't have to take from your retirement nest egg. So follow that. Every dollar you draw from Social Security is a dollar you don't have to take from your retirement nest egg. Why is that important? Well, another reason to delay your Social Security benefits, if you can, is that it's dollars you're not draining down from your retirement assets. And maybe you make those last a little bit longer. And your Social Security is larger, so the payout's better. And the fact that it goes for life. How long does your Social Security go? As long as you're living. How long do your retirement assets go? Until you run out.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to draw up your Social Security into a larger amount if possible, so that you, again, have that peace of mind. You have the dollars to go the distance.
Yes, absolutely. Great points, David. And honestly, I mean, I think it truly just comes down to stress testing your plan,
Yeah.
working with someone, because ultimately you want to have that confidence going into retirement
Yeah.
and confidence in not, nitpicking or not having to watch what the market's doing or, be anxious like you said. It's so stress tested. And I, work with a professional if that makes you feel better. And because they know a lot about the taxes and implications and running through numbers with you.
Yeah.
But David, before we close out on today's episode, because it has been fantastic. It was so much fun to go through
Thanks, Brenda.
questions with you. But can you share with our listeners how they can get a hold of Beacon
Yeah.
Wealth Advisory?
Yeah, you can reach us at 1-800-994-8993. And we'd be honored to sit down with any of our viewers, any of our listeners, and just kind of ask some questions about where you want to go in retirement,
Mhm.
and have you got a plan to get you there? And listen to that plan if you've got one, kind of break it down and say, I met with somebody the other day and told them, you're doing great. I just want to confirm you're on track. You don't need to
Mhm.
change a darn thing. You don't need to work with us. You're doing awesome. The person I met with later in the day, I said, you've got some gaps, you've got some holes, and we can help fill those. We can help meet those needs. We can provide some solutions. So we'll do an honest evaluation with you and ask some questions, look at some risks, maybe provide some solutions. Be honored to sit down with anybody that'd be interested.
Mhm. Well, that sounds great. And, I just want to share with our listeners too. We appreciate the questions that we're getting, and we
Yeah,
would love to hear more from you. So you can
absolutely.
always find our past shows because I know we've done shows on Social Security and different retirement strategies, and there are several shows that really touch on each of these topics. If you want to check those out, so you can just search Retirement Today or Beacon Wealth Advisory on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube so you can watch our beautiful faces. But keep those questions coming, and we appreciate it. And that was a fantastic episode, David.
Well, thanks. I enjoyed it as well, friend, and I'll see you sometime in the future when I fill in for Jenna. Maybe we'll do more questions from a hat.
Yes, I love it. All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for joining us today on this episode of Retirement Today with our host today, David Cox.
Blessings.